Hey guys, welcome back. It has been a little bit of time since our last podcast. I think it's been probably a year. I got busy with new work. I started working with a friend's company doing luxury home remodeling and overseeing projects there. So here's a quick plug. If any of you out there are wanting your home remodeled or part of your home remodeled or a custom home built, please feel free to reach out to me and I will be happy to quote you something or help you in that project. So anyway, moving on back to the podcast today. Today I'm joined by Kiwi and Allen. I'll have you guys introduce yourself, but welcome. Who wants to go first?
Thanks for having us.
I don't know ask you who wants to go first. Look at that way. Kiwi, who are you? What's your story?
Kiwi Authors. I came over here in 1990 pursuing the American dream and ended up playing rugby at one of the local universities in South Louisiana and met my wife there and started my career here and living the American dream. And moved to Texas in 95, moved to Prosper in 2012, but have been involved in Prosper School District since 2001.
Nice. Welcome. You're a Texan then at this point.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Texan.
Yeah. I think it counts. Alan.
Alan Rountree. I am your Place 2 trustee-elect until the 18th, and I'll take my seat up there for you all. I moved back to Texas in 2014. I do IT security for IBM Cloud. I moved down here to take that position. Before that, kind of lived all over, born in California, however you might feel up or down about that, but have also lived all over the states, including Alaska. So if I were to have to put a pin in a map somewhere, Alaska's home for me. That's where I
mean, California is beautiful, but Alaska I've heard is amazing too.
Yeah, Alaska is everything you think it is and a whole lot more.
So I need to visit then.
I encourage everyone to visit for as long as you possibly can. You'll either love it or hate it, but you will not be meh about it. But I also love Texas. My dad's side of the family's from Texas. Met my missus up in Alaska. She was born and raised there. And we got married, moved down here the first time, then moved back to Northwest for school and work for a little while, and then back down here for work. And hopefully we can stay here. We have one daughter in the district. She's in third grade, and we want her to be in the district until she's off to college. So
good. So you've been in the district how long?
We bought in 2020, so coming up on our sixth year in the district. Yep, right in the middle of COVID with a 3-year-old at the time. So it was a whole lot of fun. Yeah,
I have no doubt.
That was interesting.
And you've been here how long? You said 20 years in Prosper?
Yeah, I'd say a little over 20 years. Just working in and out with the construction company I worked with. I had kids that graduated in 2017 and 2020. So one of the COVID classes.
Prosper High.
Yep.
Back before we had multiple schools.
Yep.
So it's different. I'll have to come back to the multiple schools. It changes things for Prosper. Yeah. But I think this is a good segue into why would you run for the school board?
Oh boy.
I don't know what to go for. We have to flip a coin for all these.
I'll go first on this. Okay.
Because let me back up. We've been in the district for 11 years, and we moved here for the school district. So it's one of those. It was one of the reasons that to be closer to my family, but yeah, for the district, and it's changed a lot.
It definitely
a lot more
has.
students, and it's one of those. Yes, I thought about running, but it's one of those. You have to be willing to go through a lot to run for school board. So I'm like, why in the world? When I met you guys, I'm like, why are you doing it? So
we bought in Prosper for primarily 2 reasons. I knew all the development was happening or going to be happening with PGA, and so all of the motion out of Frisco was coming this way, right? So we were at the time on the leading edge of that. If we could find a good deal on a home, that would probably be beneficial for us in the long run. But the other reason is I had a 3-year-old, and we were looking at the school districts specifically, and Prosper was one of the ones that stood out amongst all the others. So when we relocated from Wiley, we relocated over here specifically for the school district. That first year, kindergarten year, my daughter Lily was in school at Rucker when all of the Janey story broke. And that was shocking that the little town of Prosper, and specifically that little elementary school, was going to be ground zero for this nightmare that was happening. So that kind of woke me up to what was going on with the school district. I started paying attention from that point. 2 years later, My family had an issue that we wanted to bring up to the school district, and it didn't go the way that we had hoped it would. And that kind of gave me an idea of some of the risk equations that were being done by the district. And so I wasn't appreciative of that. So I started looking closer. The more I looked, the more things I thought could maybe go a little bit differently if they had some different leadership. So that got me involved. So then it was PTA and watchdogs at Rucker, and just being more involved with the school as I could afford to, outside of my professional career, and meeting and talking to more and more people. And the more that I talk to folks, the more I realize that I think there are things that could be changed culturally in the district if they had leaders that were focused on those things. And there's a lot of things in the district that go on, and a lot that I don't know yet, right? I'm not on the inside, so I don't see all of the requirements of the board and of the district. And I hope to get into the middle of that as quickly as I possibly can and impact that all positively. But for me, the driving force was to be an agent of change for the culture of the district, to grow in commiseration with the size of the district, and change those risk equations a little bit.
Kiwi.
Well, mine's a little bit different story.
Different people. So
Yeah.
It's great.
My wife and I reconnected in 2011. She was the girl I chased halfway around the world to meet, and we broke
Mission
up.
accomplished.
Yep. Well, we broke up a few months after I got here.
Oh, details.
And so anyway, we had the opportunity to reconnect, and she already had 2 kids,
Okay.
and was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And she said, "Well, if I move to Texas, we got to find a private school to put them in." And I'm like, "No, we're in Texas. You don't need private schools here. You can find really good schools that are public schools." And having worked all over DFW with schools, I chose Prosper. Prosper was basically a destination district for us. And she said, "All right, I'll give it a try." And our kids graduated. When they arrived, they were 10 and 13. So, one's in middle school, one's getting ready to start high school. So we moved, kind of hopscotched around the district until we could get our house finally built back in 2013. A little bit of a challenge then, because all of a sudden they want to start building houses again.
Yeah.
But, a few years ago I thought about running for trustee, and the timing wasn't right. So about 2 years ago, I bought some land in another school district area, just little farmland. And that school district asked me to sit in on their inaugural education foundation. So I said, sure, maybe I can help out. And I've always had an affinity to thank teachers and give back to teachers, because I think that's the reason I'm where I'm at today. And in doing so, I saw how much I could help that district and make things better for the teachers and the students there. And it rekindled that thought, well, maybe I can do that in the district that I actually live in. So early January this year, I said, I think I'm going to give this a go. The timing's right for me. I'm a business owner. I have a company that can pretty much run itself for the most part, with my direction from a little bit further back, and really invest in the community and give back to the community and the teachers that helped get me to where I am today. So decided to run, and probably would have preferred to have a campaign and run and feel like I earned it. But other than that, I'm really excited to be here. I noticed there was a little bit of diversity with some of the rhetoric that was going on, and I thought that I could be a bridge between those two parties and bring them together, because there's a lot of good things in Prosper and Prosper ISD, and just wanted to take away from the negative aspects and help bridge those gaps and make us Prosper strong again.
What's working in Prosper ISD right now, and what needs changing?
I would say some of the things that are working is, the students are flourishing, right? We have a lot of celebrations every month at the board, the board meetings. So our students are doing very well in whatever they're pursuing. I think that some of the celebrations for the things that the district itself are doing how the educators and the different departments in the district are excelling at whatever they're pursuing. So I think there's a lot of support for the things that make a district more than just a school. I also think that we've got fantastic educators. I mean, I'm not in every school, so I don't get to meet every educator yet. But when I'm on campus for either PTA or for Watchdogs at Rucker, we've got some amazing people teaching our kids. So those things are working very well. I don't know. What do you see that's working well, Kiwi?
We're a sought after district.
Yeah.
People still want to come to Prosper. We have a lot of good things going for us. The organization was built on good foundations, and it's been able to grow and represent that. While we may have a couple of little dings but everybody has that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there needs to be maybe just a little bit more transparency, and not so much that anyone's keeping secrets. It's just that there's some people feel like they're not hearing, or some of the communities feeling like they're not hearing the full story. So unfortunately, those little blemishes tend to stand out more. But as a whole, the district's really in good shape. I mean, we've got good sports programs. Students are academically, above a lot of other areas around us. We've got good pay for our teachers. I'd like to see that improve.
Yeah.
But, we have a limited budget, so being able to determine where we can maximize those efficiencies so that money can get turned back to the teachers, because, I mean, let's face it, teachers really deserve six figures, but we just don't have a state that wants to support that. So whatever we can do to benefit those teachers is going to, in turn, benefit the students.
Yeah. And hearing the district discussed as a destination district is, I mean, that's a point of pride. I mean, I'm on the 18th, Kiwi and I are going to be part of that, right? Directly a part of that. I mean, we're already a part of it, being parents and taxpayers in the district, and, our involvement with the schools in the different ways. But we're going to now be a voice that's going to guide that and make that stronger and take it further into the future. But being that we are talked about by external entities as a destination district, that's a fantastic thing. That's a good place for us to start from.
I guess providentially, you're joining the board at a time of change. A new superintendent's coming on. How have you been involved at all in the process of that? What do you hope to see in that process, and what would you like? I don't know if you can say too much, but I mean, a new superintendent will be coming on. It's a time of change,
right?
And you guys are coming on, new superintendent. Like, this could be a very interesting time,
right,
for the district.
We were fortunate to the current board felt that it was important that we be part of that process, so they asked us to come in and sit on the executive sessions, the last two meetings.
Good.
For that small component of selecting a firm that would find our superintendent, which I think says a lot for the current board.
We won't be able to vote on that.
Well,
that decision needs to happen
quickly, so I understand that.
But our opinion was part of the discussion, and we were heard. We were asked to participate, so that was that's very good of the current board to do that. Even though the election was what it was, we were still invited to participate and hear our voice, because we will be there to vote on and help make the decision of when and who the next superintendent will be. So,
will they vote on that next month or so? Do we have any idea? It depends on how long it takes to find someone?
No, the first step is to find a firm that will do a search.
You don't even have the firm yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
We've selected,
I just assumed y'all found. Okay.
We've selected some firms to pick from.
They're going to pitch themselves to you.
Yep.
Like, this is why you should use me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Two of them pitched at the last board meeting. That was the early part of the board meeting. They came in and did their pitch, and you can see that now. That's both of those pitches are available on the board meeting video, so you can find that online in those spots. We had discussed a couple other firms that are still being arranged to make their pitch, and then I'm assuming we'll have to make that choice, or the board will have to make that choice as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah. What kind of superintendent would you like? Do you think would be good for the district? You don't have to answer that either. You're like, we'll figure it out. But
I think it's going to be a collection of different attributes, and every person's going to be stronger or weaker in each of those attributes, right? And so all 7 of the members of the board will need to have that repertoire of those attributes that we think will be important. I can tell you for mine, I'm going to want someone who is like Dr. Ferguson, a very strong leader, right? She is really good at bringing the district and all of the people of the district towards a goal. So I think that's something we'll need to replicate. Okay. I also think someone who is going to build a strong culture. It needs to be part of the selection process. I do think that the culture needs to include more transparency than we have today, just like Kiwi was saying earlier. So I'll be looking for someone who values transparency in their leadership style. And I'll be looking for someone who is looking to develop the people that work for them, right? And be a good leader of the people. Whether it's a servant leader or other different styles, that's fine. But I will be looking for someone who has a track record and has demonstrated that they care as much about the people that work for them and supporting those people as they do getting that support back from those people in their initiatives. So those are the types of attributes I'll be looking for. What I really, really appreciate about Dr. Ferguson is how she is always out amongst the students.
Yeah.
You never see her not out there. In fact, yesterday I had a parent-teacher conference. There was a handwritten note from her on the whiteboard in my daughter's classroom talking about how hope gives life, right? And with hope you have a future. Those things I love. I love about Dr. Ferguson and the way that she moves about the district and how she leads the district. So I'm hoping that we can find someone who has a similar style like that and exudes that confidence to the students and has a focus on being amongst the students.
Some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I know William Russian,
Okay.
not when he was superintendent, but since the early 2000s.
Okay.
You have Drew Watkins that, single-handedly took this school district from beginnings to, huge district.
Yeah.
And then you have Holly, who's coming in and taking over from Drew, and she filled Drew's shoes, and like Alan was saying, has really been out there, and I think that's important. I remember my daughter's always been enamored with Dr. Watkins, how he always walked around and knew her name, and Holly was great about that. When I told my wife I was going to go visit with Holly and have a chat, and that Holly had asked about our son Daniel, and she said, she actually knows that his name was Daniel, but his first given name on the rolls is James. But she had that personal touch with everybody, and that was led by Dr. Watkins too. So you've got two superintendents that really care about this district, that have put their all into it. So whoever comes in, they've got some big shoes to fill, and we're going to be looking for someone that can.
They're out there, and this is a destination school district, so they'll want to come here.
Yeah,
it's
plenty of prestige here, so we should be able to get some fantastic candidates. I'm banking on it as a trustee that we're going to get some fantastic candidates. Hopefully, have a difficult decision amongst the top candidates. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. On a side note of sorts, I visited with both of you guys in the past and thought this color scheme of your signs and everything was like a well-oiled machine for the two of you coming right, left, hit, and you're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, what? Something I've had friends of mine said, yeah, they're working together. I'm like, no, they weren't. So tell me about that briefly. Why did you come up with the color scheme you did? And
Alan, why did you start?
Okay, I'll start. So, my life is centered around my young daughter.
Yeah.
So her favorite color is purple, and my wife's favorite color is seafoam green. And that's what it was. Those signs of mine were printed before I ever even shook Kiwi's hand and met him in person. So the first time I saw Kiwi's design, I was like, well, that's interesting. Well, what are we going to do about that? So, yeah, totally unplanned on my part.
So mine has two lines of thought. My wife says I always look good in purple. So
you're not wearing purple today, though.
No. So I said, all right, well, let's go with purple. And I was trying to think of a good contrast to purple. And with a nickname of Kiwi and kiwi fruit, I'm like, well, let's go with green, and green and purple look good. So that was part of it. One of the other ones was, I see a lot of political signs out there that are red and blue.
Yeah.
And I'm not a polarized person. I like to think I'm middle of the road.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have that that impression on people that I wasn't one side or the other, that everybody had an equal say, and that was why I landed on the purple and green. And then I saw Allen's once again. I'd already determined what colors I was going to have, and we're like, it looks like we might be running together.
Yeah, it was interesting. And speaking of Kiwi, how long have you gone by Kiwi?
So when I first came over here in '90, my given name is John.
Yeah.
And there were 3 guys that were playing on the rugby team with me, and it was Kiwi John, Kiwi Rick, and Kiwi Fatu. And the other 2 guys, when they left, they just dropped the John and just stuck with Kiwi.
Okay.
And I ended up adopting it as my go-to name because there's so many Johns.
There are a few.
And then when I'd call up, I was in construction, I'd leave a message for the salesman. They'd say, who's calling? I'd say John, and then my last name. And when I say Authors, they'd think it would start with an O, and then my R's sounded like I's.
Yeah.
Anyway, as much as I've explained this, it would be longer than that trying to spell my name. So I said, just tell them it's Kiwi, and then they'd call me Pee-wee.
Pee-wee.
But so it was a little bit of one name recognition. So it just stuck, and it was ended up being a good little one name recognition.
That's perfect.
Nice.
And I guess you've just gone by Allen.
Yeah. Well, so I have a lot of uncles that were in construction, so they have some colorful names for me that, probably not appropriate here.
Yeah,
and then
I have to bleep it.
a couple of those uncles were also in the Marine Corps. Then I had my time in the Marine Corps, and so those people and drill instructors were actually even more colorful than my uncles, and those are definitely not appropriate in any public forum. So, it's always been Allen or worse.
Yeah, that works. I'm Herbert, but I've gone by Bert all my life, so it's one of those. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I was Crocodile Dundee in the Army.
That's not a knife. That's a knife. So, I had
Mick.
I had 2 roommates. I lived in Russia in the '90s. I had 2 roommates who were from New Zealand, and we called them Kiwis. So it was it was.
Yeah, one from New Zealand's called Kiwi. So
it was like
I thought about changing my name to Kiwi, and I'm like, that'll look a little weird when I go back home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Okay, so you ran, and then you ran unopposed. I'm on the mud board. I will be on the mud board. I'll be sworn in a week before you guys are in our neighborhood. And I did the same thing. I was going to go knock on doors and get to know neighbors this way, and then surprise, no one's running against you. I'm like, what? So it changes. I almost rather go and shake hands and get to know people, but it's different. You haven't needed to have panel discussions. This is what I believe. This is why I'm running. This is why I want your vote. Though you do want their vote. You want to represent them, and you are going to represent the people of Prosper, whether they vote for you or not. So what was it like when you found out that you're running unopposed? How did that change things? You're like, well, this is just, it's changed. You go planning, run a marathon, now you just won. Here's the trophy. You run. I'm like, what? I didn't have to run?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different.
It was a surprise. It would have been nice to know before I spent the money, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But... It really felt like I hadn't earned it.
Exactly.
And so it puts more emphasis on me personally to really go out there and prove that I was, worthy of the position. Running against Tommy was not against Tommy. It was just I felt the time was right for me. And I really didn't know Tommy. I didn't know anything about Tommy, didn't know what he had done or anything like that. And as I've come to know a little bit more about Tommy, he's a great guy. And it was a little bit of a surprise when that developed. But I'm willing to get out there and prove that I'm worthy of the position.
So prove it by being a good board member. And you talked about, we'll come back to you on what it's like, but sure. Transparency. So is that how you want transparency? You want to communicate transparency? Is that how, I'm representing you and I'm going to tell you what's going on?
Yes. So it's a difficult road to kind of travel, right? Everybody has questions, and sometimes just by the sheer magnitude of the questions, you can't get to everybody. So you've kind of got to shuffle through which ones you really need to address, being available to answer those questions, or directing those that you have some influence over in the administration to potentially answer those questions as well. So transparency is big with what I do with my company. It's first and foremost. It's internally. It's externally to clients. It's externally to subcontractors. and everything we do is transparent. It just makes life easier. Sometimes it's not the answer that everybody wants. We may not be able to give details because of the confidentiality, but at least we can give a general synopsis of what's going on. And I think there's a need out there for some people that need just feel like they're not being heard or ignored. So if I can be that bridge and help portray us as a very strong, united district, then that's what I really want to do.
What was it like for you when you found out?
So I was actually gearing up to go to even a more contentious campaign, right? Because Kiwi's campaign went unopposed before mine did, a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
And so I figured that all of the support that would have been there for Tommy's campaign would then have definitely shifted over to Dina's campaign. And I figured I was going to be in an even more
trenches.
intense campaign, right?
Yeah.
Not that so similar to Kiwi, I wasn't running against Dina. I was running for me. The only way I could make a decision of which board seat to challenge or which place to challenge was that I had actually associated with Tommy Van Wolf outside of the boardroom, right? He was definitely a trustee when I had my concern with the district, but then we would see each other at daddy-daughter dances, and he and I and Bill Beavers all were at the same dance a couple of years in a row or at Walnut Grove. And, Tommy was very nice, approached me, and, we'd comment on each other. I'd be wearing, LED cat ears because that's what my daughter wanted me to put on, in my little monkey suit. And he would comment about that and we'd share a laugh. And, so I figured if I don't have that same connection with Dina, so why not go for place 2? So I wasn't running against Dina. I was running for the seat. And I figured that Dina and I were going to have a heck of a campaign to go, for the seat. Mm-hmm. She and I had exchanged a little bit of information back and forth, and I told her I'm not looking to run any kind of contentious campaign or anything like that. I want to, have an upstanding campaign, and I don't know what her decision points were for why she decided not to continue the campaign, but she didn't. And so that was a big relief. I had to let my wife know that, hey, this is going to get more interesting. We're going to have to, finance it a little bit stronger, most likely, more signs, more time, more conversations. I'm going to be out more than I want to be. And with a third grader, that's not exactly what your missus wants to hear.
Yeah.
So there was relief for me. I'll also say that, like Kiwi, I felt like I had gotten something that I didn't earn. This is my first foray into any kind of elected position. I also feel like the voters. I feel like the voters were robbed of their opportunity to ask Kiwi and I the questions that they have. They would invariably have, and so we've been trying to rectify that.
I know you've probably had a few get-to-know-yous, but that's why when we visited, I'm like, this might be a good place for people to get to see your face and see who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. Because it's a thankless job, and I know from some of the people on the school board, it can take a lot of time too. So you mentioned you can afford to give a little bit of time right now because it's going to take more than you even think. I think I'm pretty sure.
I think I've probably invested about 20 hours a week, and I haven't even been campaigning to date. But just talking to different people that I know, mayors that I might have a coughing fit here soon. Too.
Sorry, it's contagious.
Yeah, but
have you been in public office before? Have you run for anything before?
No.
Okay.
No.
Rugby president, you were like.
No, up until 2016, I wasn't a citizen, so I couldn't. And so I.
Well, congratulations.
I was at a point where I either renew my green card or become a citizen. I'm like, I've taken the oath before when I joined the military. I mean, I always consider myself an American, or born again American. But so I decided to become a citizen at that point and be bona fide, and now I can run for office and vote, and maybe go to jury duty.
Yeah, well, that's so they've always never chosen me for jury duty. Yeah. It's one of those things. So we kind of touched on what kind of trustee you'll be. Did you mention that as much?
So I want to see, just like Kiwi mentioned, I want to see a lot more transparency. Not that the decisions that have been made by the district are the wrong decision. Maybe they always have been. But if people don't understand, if the taxpayers and the voters don't understand what the decision is, what data was leveraged to make the decision, and what the outcome of that decision is going to be, it gives room for questions to manifest themselves. And sometimes those questions lead people down inaccurate roads, and that's where rumor and lies can begin to flourish. I think if the board and the district can be more transparent than they have been, that forestalls some of the problems or the negativity that the district has today. Invariably, there are tough decisions when it comes to, finite resources. Someone is going to be unhappy about every decision that's made.
Yeah, always.
But if you can provide that data so they understand the decision more, or how the decision was made, I think that can remove some of that negative thought pattern that is there in the district today. I honestly think that, a district of our scale, our complexity, and our capability should have, metrics that foreshadow every decision that's made, right?
Yeah.
You need to have data to make a decision. The district, I'm sure, is gathering that data. The administration, the board definitely wants that data and gets to see that data. I know that some of those things have to be held in confidence, but do they all?
Yeah.
And so that's the question that I'm going to ask, right out of the gate. Why are we holding this information back from the public? Why can't they know these things? Is there a good reason why? Okay. If there's not, then why aren't we just getting it out there?
Yeah.
That will alleviate some of the questions, concerns, problems that we have in the district. So I'm going to be pushing heavily for transparency. I also think that being a board member means that you are up there to be the voice of the people.
Yeah.
To tell the district administration what you want to see. So I am going to try to be more available to the public. Obviously, there's a balancing act there for what you can and cannot share. Certainly anything in an executive session is not able to be shared, so that will limit what I can do.
Yeah.
But to be approachable in a manner in which there's no concern for reprisal or exposure for the students, the faculty, the administrators, the parents, the taxpayers, to be able to trust somebody with a discussion that is probably one of the worst things they're dealing with.
Yeah.
When it comes to the education of their children, to be able to trust us as trustees to hear that and be willing and open to hear that conversation, whether I agree with it or not.
Yeah.
I need to be willing to be, an open ear and an open mind to hear the concern, and then weigh that against all of the data that I have as a trustee, even that's an executive session that the public may not be able to understand, so that the decision I make is as informed as possible. And so you'll see out of me a push for transparency and a push for, approach to the community and a better avenue of approach from the community to the board. Those are the things I think that the taxpayers will see from me as a trustee. And then I'm going to be bringing something to the board that may not be there. I do IT security. I'm focused on cybersecurity for a major cloud provider. I understand some of the pathways that technology benefits us, but that being a two-sided coin, right? Our kids are also preyed upon through those avenues of approach, and maybe I have a vision or an optic of what that looks like more so than anyone else on the board. And so I'm hoping that I can leverage my own personal skill set to help the administration and help the board protect our kids a little bit better, or use technology in a better way, or maybe even a more empowering way. So those are the things you'll see out of me right out of the gate.
And I've been in school, I wouldn't say politics, but definitely in construction, working with school boards, school superintendents, school districts across DFW since 2001.
Okay.
So I bring a different approach to how different school districts do things. A lot of people say sometimes you got to think outside of the box. I don't have a box. So every
You build boxes, but that's
build boxes, yeah. So every suggestion is valid, no matter how obscure or ridiculous it may sound. But often it can spark a line of thinking that can lead you somewhere. So understanding the dynamic of what school districts go through, with those years of experience, I think I'm going to be able to bring something to the board that's going to be valued, and hopefully passes on to the administration and areas that maybe they need some advice on. But much like Allen, I think there's a need for some transparency. Obviously, you can't share everything, but you can at least give context. And sometimes people just want to be heard. So
that's often what
that's what I hope to bring to the table. Maybe find out some solutions to some problems that we have, and do whatever it takes to keep this district a destination district, because it is a great district, and there's a lot of good things. It's just there's a little bit of noise that needs to be addressed and can go away, and we need to continue to be that shining star that we always were. This district's built into what it is as itself.
I know we've been here since there was one high school. When did they build Rock Hill? Was it 2000 or two? Were you?
I was here before the.
I know you were here before. You were here before when Reynolds was the high school.
Yeah,
So
I was.
It might have been before that. When did they put?
I think it was just opened when I moved in, so 2019, 2020.
Okay, so it was like it was the start of
right.
exponential crazy growth.
And my first introduction to Prosper was doing the Reynolds Stadium, which was the high school stadium, upgrading that and the concession stands. And it was interesting. I used to work for Poe Construction for almost 19 years, and I happened to be in the board meeting when Pogue was being awarded the Folsom remodel. And I texted Paul Pogue and I said, I remember when you brought me to this board meeting to sit in when you got awarded your first build here. They'd done a parking lot before, but it was their first building, and it was Folsom.
Okay.
So I've been witness to every school that's been built since Folsom Elementary.
So you understand the process. You understand what's going on. You understand the money, which is important too.
Understand all that. Understand the town of Prosper.
Yeah.
Building the fire marshals. I've worked in multiple projects here in Prosper itself, so understand the relationship between the school district and the town itself too, and that's an important relationship. We are the biggest client in the town of Prosper, and Prosper ISD is what made the town of Prosper, and we've got a great mayor, we've got good people running that town, and we have a great relationship, which hasn't always been the case.
Okay.
And it's not always the case in many other municipalities, but it is here.
Where do you see Prosper in the next 5-10 years? What would you like Prosper to be in the next 5 years or 10 years? Prosper ISD, I'm not from town. The Prosper itself, for those who might not know, the town, the city, the school district is one town and 4 cities. So it's like it's big. Prosper ISD is big. So it's more than just the town. It's huge.
Yeah, the towns change. I remember back in the early 2000s, the sentiment was that this was going to be a bedroom community.
Yeah, ship sailed.
and so with everybody moving here, unfortunately, that threw the taxes onto the rooftops.
Yeah.
When I remember all we had was the gin and Sonic.
Yeah.
And maybe a Nestos. That was it. Because as a construction worker, I didn't have a whole lot of options for lunches. But watching
Dion's
it grow.
house. You could see Dion's house too.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And the white fence around on the corner. I remember that. But it's changed.
It has.
The demographics change. There's a lot of things changing. We're a diverse community now, and I think we need to, acknowledge that and figure out how we can serve all parts of the communities, or the community, and just that there's a struggle seeing some of these older school districts where they're closing schools. I think Prosper's done a great job to this point. They've made the elementaries bigger. Which is great, because now every 3 elementaries you're saving an elementary administration.
Yeah.
So that's
saving money.
Yeah, and you have 2 budgets. You have a construction budget and you have an O&M budget, and those funds can't intermingle.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that when they're paying taxes, and they're like, well,
We're doing a bond, like, let's pay the teachers. I'm like,
let's
it
pay-
sounds nice, but
it doesn't work that way. And then of course we're subject to Robin Hood rules, where some of our dollars go to impoverished districts. So anything we can do to maximize the money that we generate through the tax base, and not so much on the rooftops, and do things that are efficient on the buildings, and any economy of scale that we can apply to. Talking about schools closing, today it's elementaries, tomorrow it's going to be middle schools, and then next week it's going to be high schools. And I think Prosper to date has done a good job of forecasting how we can avoid that.
so you're hoping the next 5-10 years that we continue on the trajectory of making sure we're not going to be in the position of other districts that have either built too fast or overextended themselves.
Yeah, it's. I think you're going to start seeing the subdivisions start ramping up. We're going to see that growth come again.
Yeah,
and demographics is a hard.
It's a tough one.
Nut to crack. So
Yeah. Well, and with the tollway continuing to punch through and go north, that's going to open up, ease of travel, right? So we're going to see more businesses come up to support that. More people will move north as more businesses are up here. So the growth is going to continue to happen for a certain period of time. Being able to judge when to slow down that growth is going to be a balancing act. We've already seen the district do a couple of that by pausing some of the building of some of the schools, which hopefully has the benefit that the district is looking for, and not end up costing us as much as if we would have just finished the building and moved forward. So those things are going to be difficult decisions to make, and there'll have to be as many data points as we possibly can at the point of the decision. In 5 years, I'd like to see the district continue the growth. Obviously, that's a benefit, but I think continue to draw in the participation from all of the parents and the taxpayers in the environment. The PTO is very strong at Rucker, and I hope it's that way for every other school. And having parents that are as invested in the school and the operations of the school as you can be is nothing but a benefit. And that doesn't cost the school anything. It doesn't cost the district anything. But we have to make that a viable place for those parents to spend their time and their effort. And then continue to draw philanthropy, right? The education fund and others, those are ways that we can supplement the district without having to take out of either of the pools of money. So if we're still a very sought after district, then those types of things are going to come along with it. And continue to support our students and ramping up, like Walnut Grove going up in the division ratings, being able to celebrate students, at the state level out of our district is where I want to see more and more of that. Celebrating the administration and the faculty is going to be great, but I personally want to know what is the benefit, what's the cost benefit of pursuing those things. Like PLC, all of the teachers in every school have said that they love that. So that's definitely a benefit, not just to the district, but to the educators as well. Are we getting that same rate of return on everything that we're chasing? So making sure that those things are viable and worth it in the district, not just for the headlines or the accolades, but that there is a real return on investment in that labor.
It is Teacher Appreciation Week this week. What would you want teachers of Prosperity to know about you? Kiwi, go first. While he coughs.
we're taking turns coughing.
It's like we should sponsor like an allergy sponsor or something for the. It's like we need like a lot of sponsors out there. Brought to you by whatever. Sorry.
I think this is in some of my platforms that I've put out there. I never realized how much teachers really meant to me. I was at best a C student. I was very disruptive in classes. I used to throw chairs at teachers, turn over tables in class, just was an angry child. And I had a teacher in elementary school through middle school that really invested in me, would come by the house, make sure she helped me with homework and stuff like that. If I got a C, I thought I was doing good. And then in high school, I had another teacher that she really invested in me too and helped me get through. And it wasn't until about probably 15 or 20 years later, I really realized how much of an influence they had on who I became. And I always wished I could go back and thank them and let them know, hey, not all those kids you think are troublesome or bad end up in jail or in a dead somewhere. So every time I see a teacher, any educator or anyone that's in education, I always thank them. So anything that I can do to make a teacher's life better, I will, because I think that's a direct reflection that can be on the students. I don't think teaching's a career; it's a vocation.
Yeah.
And to go through all the education that they do, and then try and administer or to students in an environment that you're trying to deal with 20 plus students in a class and get to every one, and especially if you have a disruptive one like me, it makes it tougher, right? So I just want to commit to those teachers that the students are first and foremost, but they're going to benefit from those teachers getting the best pay, best facilities, and tools to teach those students.
Very good. First word.
So for me, what can teachers expect out of me? I was the exact opposite of Kiwi. I was a too smart for my own britches kind of student. So I was the quiet kid that aced all the tests and hated homework. And so for me, the teachers that impacted me most saw that in me and were not content to allow that to exist. So the teachers that I remember most were the ones who were pointing at me, telling me, you can do better. Good. I know you can do better. Why are you not doing better, right? I know you know this. You can help. Not only help yourself, but you can help other kids in the class. So I was the exact opposite of Kiwi. Probably no less aggravating to the teachers that had me in class. Maybe because so. right. What are you doing? So I appreciate those teachers that pushed me, and those are the teachers that care enough to push a kid that doesn't need to be pushed. That impacted me just as much as the teachers that took extra time to cultivate Kiwi's childhood and his learning. So I would say that teachers can expect out of me to always see them. Whether they're the strict teacher or they're the fun teacher, it doesn't matter. You are individually impacting all of the students in your class or in your campus in a way that you may not realize and may not manifest in that kid's eyes for years, but you are seen. Like Kiwi, teachers don't get paid enough. And if there's anything we can do from our board seats, we're going to change that. For me, the focus has to be in the classroom first. And the classroom is two components, well, technically three. But those two primary components are the student and the educator. The third component is the building in which they're safely allowed to exist in. So those are where I want to be focused. Everything else is to support that dynamic in the classroom. Whether it's us on the dais making decisions, the administration, working on curriculum, or, just being able to hire that teacher to be in that classroom with those students and make sure that each of those students are individually seen. My focus needs to be, the entire board needs to be, in my opinion, into the classroom. And those teachers are a core component of that, if not the most important component behind the students, right? There's that chicken and egg scenario there for me. So teachers can expect me when I'm on campus. I'm going to be there to support them 100%. And the administration, if I'm there as a watchdog, as a dad or a PTO volunteer or a board member, I'm going to be there to try and fit in with the program that's happening at that campus and benefit them in any way I possibly can, and do so as openly as possible.
Good. Go on.
Being a trustee, we're representing the constituents, the people that vote. A lot of these teachers don't live in our district.
True.
But
it's expensive to live in the district.
It is. But so it's important that they be heard as well. So I know Allen already does this, and I've met several teachers and administrators. Want to hear what they have to say, because they're the ones where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's avenues for them to share that back with the administration. Yeah. But I want to hear that too, because at the end of the day, the students are children that those voters, they live in this district. So it's important to listen to the voters, but also the people that are teaching our children of the voters. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think as a leader in business and whatever else, the core dynamic for me is to put the decision as close to the problem as possible. well, what decision or what problem is more close to that decision than the teachers are in the classroom, right? They're the ones that know each of the students, get to know them throughout the year, understand their individual needs. They know what they need and what they don't need in that classroom. So why wouldn't we be ears wide open to hear what they have to say?
Point.
Yes, as a business owner, there's two schools of thoughts, right? There's the thought of consensus and that of mandate. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you come in with a mandate decision that may happen, if you're not willing to listen to the feedback from those that you're telling them what to do, you may be making a poor decision for the students. So that's why it's important to be able to listen. I know in my company we have an advisory committee that allows people, instead of just dropping a suggestion in the suggestion box, they come to us with a problem and a potential resolve to that on how to address it, and the leadership looks at it and wholeheartedly and makes a decision and responds to it. So I apply that logic to teachers, and because at the end of the day, they're the ones teaching those kids that can tell us really what they need.
That's good. Final thoughts?
I guess for me, I'm just as nervous to take that seat as everyone is, probably, for someone who did not actually have to campaign and did not have to actually face hard questions in the public. I'm just as nervous to take that seat as everyone is for me to take it. However, that's not going to deter me from getting up there and confidently leading the discussions that I need to and seek the answers that I need and the data that I need to make the decisions that are going to be placed before the board. I feel that I have a good pulse for the district on the things that have been important to the people that have approached me. And I am committing to the rest of those that haven't approached me, come and get to know me. You're stuck with me for 3 years until you vote me out, or don't. Come and get to know me. I'm pretty approachable. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be realistic with you of what I can and can't share, what I can and can't do. And being kind of like the freshman of all the 7 of the trustees that are going to be up there, I haven't even been as involved in education as Kiwi has on the side. So I'm definitely going to be the freshman. I'm going to learn things that I can and cannot do, but I'm going to be honest with anyone that has a concern or a topic that they want to talk to me about. I will give them my point of view. I'll commit to them what I can, and I'll be honest with them for those things that I cannot commit to. And I will try to represent them as best as possible. Being that our district doesn't have regions, I'm representing everybody from the east to the west to the north to the south, McKinney, Salina, Prosper, Frisco. It doesn't matter. I'm representing everyone, and I want to try and honor that and be available to everyone that has a topic they want to talk to me about. So that's a lot to put on top of fatherhood and being a husband and being a business person as well. But I know that. I knew that when I went and signed up. And when the seat became mine, I knew that commitment was all the more real. So the oath that I'll be taking on the 18th, I take that just as fervently as I do any other oaths, whether that was, to serve the country in the Marine Corps or, to marry my missus or whatever. This oath is just as important to me. And so I'll be bringing all that same energy to this board seat.
Sounds good. Kiwi.
I can mirror that sentiment when it comes to oath. I think I'm probably the first trustee that isn't a Town of Prosper resident. I actually reside in the city of McKinney, so I understand that dynamic of not being in the Prosper proper area, being one of the 5 municipalities that make up the Prosper ISD. I take this very seriously, and I just want to I just want to listen from everybody. I want to be approachable. I want to be able to answer them honestly. There'll be times that I won't be able to share everything, but at least give them the context. Just hope that they understand that I may not be able to answer their question how they want, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, it's what's better for the body, not just necessarily for the finger kind of deal. But I really want to be part of bringing the district together. The small noise that we have, it's just that. It's a little noise. Let's address it. Let's move on. This district has so much good to offer. Having seen my kids go through how it helped them, I really look forward to serving the community and being held accountable.
Very good. Well, I would say go out and vote for these guys, but you have the privilege of watching them, and as with me, rooting for you guys that will come along and continue to make Prosper a destination, Prosper ISD a destination location. And I think it's good that you're not in Prosper, town of Prosper. Exactly. I think it's good to have board members throughout the whole, not just one section. I think it's a good thing to have outside. Like, we're a huge district, a very big district, and I think it's a good thing. I'm excited to see you guys get on the board and to see how you fare for the next 3 years. I know it's pretty crazy, but I'm happy for it. I'm happy to get to know you guys, and I think I visited with you and we talked for a while. I'm like, well, I'm sorry I can't vote for you, that because I don't have to.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your willingness to serve and to be a ear for the residents and taxpayers of Prosper ISD. And I hope for the best days are ahead for Prosper ISD. And yes, there's a lot of strange things that get attention and yes, should be dealt with, but it's in the broad scheme of things, we need to push forward and make this a great district. And I think you guys being on the board will help that. And I appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah,
course.
my pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for having us and chatting with us.
Yeah.
I think this is important not only for Kiwi and I to discuss this with you, but for this to get out for the voters and the admins and the students even, hopefully, to get to know us, because there wasn't as much of an opportunity in this race to do that. So this will be good for the town, I hope.
I hope so.
It's been interesting watching the district grow.
Yeah.
I remember when it was just Reynolds, and then we had Prosper High School, the mothership as they call it.
Yeah, the ship.
But I remember talking to Dr. Watkins early on. I said, how many high schools are you going to build? And he said, we plan on building out to 5, and now they're talking 6.
Yeah.
So it's just, just seeing that evolve over the last 25 years has been pretty exciting. So glad to be part of it, and hopefully I can do it honorably.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to get to know you more over the next few years, and for now we will root you on. And thank you again for your time. For those who sat through this hour of talking, we appreciate you, and I will hopefully be back again sometime in the near future with another one. I don't know. Life gets busy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, podcast. Sure, let's do the podcast. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bert.